I'm going to activate my brush tool by hitting the letter B on my keyboard, and the default brush is a 13-point brush. Notice how it sort of has a faded edge to it. Alright, so if you go to the options bar, you have different settings. So obviously we can adjust the size, but the hardness, okay, right now at a 0% hardness I have sort of a faded edge on it. If I go back and I adjust the hardness up to 100, I'll get more of a crisper line. So that's what the hardness does. So there's more settings for brushes, but you have to press F5 to get into the brush window. So there's some other things here that you can adjust. You can adjust the angle, which you're not going to notice much happen here. You can see the angle percentage changing. The roundness you can adjust. So if I lower the percentage, you can see this image here changing. I can also manually just grab the little points and pull them in, and I can rotate. And I have a preview here. Now I can see the angle and the roundness have been affected. So when I paint with that line, I get more of a ribbon effect. Okay, there's a bunch of other types of settings that you can change as well. One of the fun ones is color dynamics. Just because it's checked doesn't mean that you're going to make setting changes, so make sure that you always click on the words. And we can change the foreground background jitter. Right now I have black and white, so I'm going to switch these colors to something a little more colorful. Foreground red, and I'm going to choose a yellow for my background. So if I bump up this percentage and now I paint, I need to make it a little bit bigger so you can see what happens here. This is the foreground background jitter. I'm going to add a new layer and hide this one. Hue jitter, if I bump that up, I get even more of a rainbow, because remember, hue is adjusting the actual tone of the color. And a saturation jitter. Just keep adding a new layer here. If I bump this up, it's the how deep the color is, or the intensity of the color. So a lower saturation, higher saturation, adjust the brightness jitter, and so on. So there's many things to play with in here. If I go back to the basic settings under brush tip shape, I can change the spacing, and take a look at this preview down here when I increase the spacing. So now I can basically create polka dots. So now let me add a new layer here, and now it's going to space out the different when the brush is being used by adjusting this here. And if I want to make it a little bit fatter or more round, regular polka dots, I can do that also. Adjust the color dynamics here. It just takes, experimentation to find some pretty cool effects. So I'm not going to go through all of these different ones, but you can see here each of these will definitely change the appearance of what happens on your canvas with the brush tool.